Hi, I'm Dominique and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be making a traditional cottage pie, which is again free on filling and healthy. It's not actually very different to how you would cook it. The problem I used to have when I used to cook a cottage pie was I used to sort of like mix up gravy and put it in with the pie and cook it, you know, like in a gravy sauce with the mashed potato on top. Obviously the gravy is where the points come in, so this is just a little bit more different, but while we've been doing this, hubby and I have both agreed that this one's actually much better because you're not using gravy, you're just using stock, and it's actually much tastier. You can taste all those ingredients that you put in it. So for this one today, we're basing this on two. I'm using 250 grams of extra lean minced beef. I'm using 2 carrots, we're having half a onion, very finely chopped, and 4 or 5 potatoes to go with mash on top. So you can add lots of other ingredients, you know, swede and leeks and a few other bits to go in there if you want it. I didn't particularly want leeks because there's already onions in there and I'm not actually a huge fan of swede, so I didn't want to go in there. So we've just literally stuck with the minced beef and the carrots to go in. And you also need stock cubes for this one. That's it, should we get cooking? This is a lovely meal to cook on a wet and miserable day, which it is. A couple of days away from summer, and you would think we're in the middle of autumn. It's chucking it down out there. So first of all, anyway, we're just rabbiting on. We're just going to peel our potatoes, and as they're only little ones, we can just get away with cutting these into fours to boil them. Okay, so we're going to peel all our potatoes, put them in the saucepan and just simmer them in boiling water for about 20 minutes, just until they're tender, until you can get them ready to mash. See? Miserable. Really, really miserable. There we go. That's our potatoes in the pan with water. You can add a little bit of salt if you want to. I don't find it's necessary. But just bring them to the boil and then lower it down to a simmer, and again for 20 minutes only. While those potatoes are cooking, it's the perfect time to get your carrots ready. So just chop the ends off, peel them. We're looking for medium-sized pieces. You don't want them too thin because it does obviously cook in the oven for about 20 minutes. If you have them too thin, they'll just break down and go mushy. You don't want them too chunky either because, again, they don't cook in the oven too long. You don't want to be biting into raw carrot. I'll just show you these. It's probably better, isn't it? Just about that. Next, we're going to move on to the onion. Take those ends off. Like I said, I'm only going to put in half an onion, but with this recipe, in the Simple Start book, it doesn't actually have any particular amounts of ingredients, so it's completely up to you. If you fancy a whole onion, if you prefer that, then you can do that. If you want more than 2 carrots, you can do that. They're all free on the Filling and Healthy and the Simple Start, so it's not going to make a huge amount of difference how much you use. I'm going to do a couple of slices. I'm going to do it nice and finely. We are going to cook this with the mince. It's not just going to go in the cottage pie raw. So if you wanted to do it a little bit thicker, if you want a bit of a bite, then that's also okay. Well, good when you get into a rhythm when chopping, isn't it? There we go, so you can see I've done mine. Also broken up really fine. Nice little bits there. Now all the onions chopped, what we're going to do is we're going to add the extra lean steak mince or minced beef and the onion to a heated frying pan. It does say to use calorie controlled spray, and you can do if you want to, obviously, because you can use that on Filling and Healthy, but I find with beef mince you don't really need it. You can just put it in. Sometimes I add just a touch of water just to you know, coat the base of the pan. There we go, that's all in the pan. Like I said, because I don't use the calorie controlled spray when I'm putting it in the pan, today I haven't used any water, but I have started it off on the lowest heat, just until, you can hear it now, just until it's kind of started to brown off. We're going to cook the beef and the onions like this for about 5 minutes. Every so often just keep stirring it and turning that beef over, make sure that, you know, it's all browned off nicely. Once you've chopped them all into circles, we're just going to get them and we're just going to slide them down the middle just so they're half moons. Make them a bit more bite-sizable in the cottage pie once they're in there. You can see the mince is all browned off, sizzling away nicely there. We're just going to make up our beef stock, and then we're ready to add the beef stock and the carrots. And if you want to as well, I always put in just a pinch of mixed herbs, or you can use any herb you want. I just use mixed herbs for this, just to give it a little bit of a flavour boost. So in goes water to our stock. Just going to make about 3/4 pint, which should about do it. Make sure we mix that up nicely, get those stock cubes dissolving. Nothing worse than lumpy oxo going into your meat, is there? It never quite breaks down once it's touched meat. In goes our beef stock. Now don't worry if it looks too much, because we are going to, look, see, failed. Don't worry if it looks too much. We are going to bring it to the boil a little bit, let those flavours soak into the beef, add those carrots as well, and obviously it will reduce a little bit anyway. Going to give it a nice stir. Nearly forgot the herbs. And there you go, that is literally just dried mixed herbs. Get them in, give them a stir. Bring it to the boil and again let it simmer for about 20 minutes. One tip I do have is, if you have enough time and you can cook your mince first and then leave it about half an hour and then cook your potatoes, do it that way, because you can cook your mince off and lay it in your pie and kind of leave it to cool down. It sort of sets. So then when you come along and put your mashed potato on top, it doesn't automatically start sinking through. Now the potatoes are cooked, we're just going to pop them back into the pan once they've been drained. And we're going to start mashing. You can, if you wanted to, I mean, my dad taught me the best way to mash potatoes is a little bit of butter and a little bit of milk and salt and pepper, all warmed up and then poured on top, and then mash it, but obviously not very filling or healthy. So I just mash mine plain, but you have got the option of using, I think they're butter buds or something people keep saying about. I must look into those. Yeah, if you want, you know, nice creamy mash, there's always that option, but you'd have to pro point that obviously and take it out of your weeklies. Once that's all cooked and it's been done for about 20 minutes, just transfer it into whatever dish you're going to use. I always use Pyrex dishes. I have quite a load of these ones that you can see. I've got all different shapes and sizes. I find them really good because they come with these lids. Obviously the smaller ones, if you wanted to make up in, like, batch cook this, you could, you know, buy your meat fresh, make it up, put the lids in and just pop them straight in the freezer. You know, even with the potato on top, you can add your potato on top and freeze them and then just bring them out for midweek meals when you want to, when you're in a bit of a rush. So today I'm going to serve with some nice green cabbage. I love Savoy cabbages. So I'm just going to chop one up for you. Easiest way is just to take the base off. Like that. I love these lovely green leaves. Adds a nice bit of colour to the plate as well. So I fold it in half, like that. And then I just run the knife down the spine, so it then becomes that. And that way you've got rid of that chunky great big spine. If you like it, then you know it's okay to leave it in, but I prefer not to. I then roll mine up into like little, so they look like little cabbage rolls. Just go straight across. And we have nice long bits of cabbage. So just put the mashed potato on. I tend to put mine on little chunks and then fill the gaps. It's easier than just trying to dollop it all on in one go. And also, when it's all on, you can then use a fork to spread it out a bit more evenly. We've played the game of fill the gaps, doesn't look too bad. This thing to do, run a fork up and down, and that kind of smooths it out a bit for you. And you can see it covering the last of those gaps now. And that way, when it's in the oven as well, it'll get a nice crisp along the top of that mashed potato. Cottage pie's gone in the oven on the middle shelf. It's gone in on 200 degrees Celsius, and that's going to go in for about 10-15 minutes. So while that's going in, we'll just put in our cabbage on to boil. And there's dinner. If you go in quite a bit, you can see nice crisp top on there, and nice green veggies. All set, ready to go. It's come out really nice today actually. I did luckily have a bit of time to leave the meat to set, so it's all ready. Dinner's up.